No ID is meant for a sane audience. No ID may contain liberty-oriented content. Pinko discretion is advised. Now, here's No ID with Paul Banducci and Scott Moskowitz.
Hey everybody, welcome back to No ID and a Merry Christmas from the Jew to you. I am Scott.
And I'm Paul. Merry Christmas.
The hyper-local revolution, No ID, because every region has a mainstream apparatus that propagandizes. And this region is now populated by both Paul and I. Hey, we're in the same room together.
Yeah, we are. It's good to be in the same space as you, Scott. You smell nice.
That's the coffee.
It
It's the
is
coffee talking. Yeah, we're just having the medium versus light versus dark conversation right before we clicked the live button.
I thought it was that special Jew incense you guys whipped up for Hanukkah in the house.
What would Jew incense smell like? Latkes and shame.
Money.
And money. Why is money green? Because Jews pick it before it's ripe.
Hey-oh. Hello, Internet. We'll be here all week.
We have a bunch to cover, as always. Like I told you before we ever started this on this podcast journey, content is never the problem. There's always a ton going on and a ton to cover, including stuff that you sent me. So I think I'd like to start there on this Christmas week, because boy, was it a Merry Christmas for the Idaho Public Schools.
Boy, howdy, it sure was. Their stockings are full, thanks to us.
Now, I looked for audio for this particular story because you sent me an article and I could not find any. So I don't know if any, whatever the news stations, Idaho NPR covered it, but I couldn't find it. What I did find when I searched, I'm going to tilt my monitor. Hey, Paul's in the room, so I can tilt my monitor and show him.
Oh, yeah.
What I did find was this same story from past years. This happens every year.
Now that I did not know.
Let me pull up the headline here from the article you sent me.
I've got it.
You got it. All right. What's the headline?
So it's pretty innocuous at first. Idaho Land Board announces record $68 million. $68 million in funding distribution to K-12 public schools. So what they did, and apparently they do this every year. Oh, by the way, hat tip to Wayne Hoffman of Level Up Humanity. That's where I first saw this article. Wayne's a buddy of mine and the founder of and former president of Idaho Freedom Foundation. He's doing other stuff in the last few years, but he still is a political observer and has a lot to say. And I listen because, he's got good things to say. Anyways, this came hat tip to him for this. But the big joke here is, and apparently they do this every year. I did not know that. That makes it worse, actually.
Much worse.
What this is it's a ceremony where one side of the government, that's the Idaho Land Board, gifts a different side of the government, that's the Department of Education, with money that they stole from us. So it's the government ceremoniously moving money from one of their pockets to one of their other pockets after they've taken it all out of our pocket.
And they're doing it with the classic large cardboard check.
Yeah.
The ceremonial shuffling it from one hands to the other.
Yep. The Idaho Land Board consists of the governor and a couple of his lackeys. They sit on the Idaho Land Board and they presented this huge ceremonial check to I think Debbie Critchfield is her name, who's the head of the Department of Education, the state superintendent, I think is the proper term. And voila, they got a bunch of money. Woo! Yeah.
What was it? 60? What was the total?
68 million.
Oh, you said. So now here's what I found. I saved this. I didn't have my tab open so that I could do the reveal here live. Here is this exact same story. I have it now on YouTube. This is from Local News 8. It's like an Eastern Idaho station, and this is a 2021 video. Idaho Land Board officials present. Now, this one is a measly $54,798,000. So obviously, this total has been going up over the years. Now, describe what you're looking at on this screen.
There are a lot of happy statists, young statists in masks. Although what's interesting is that the superintendent is not wearing a mask. all the kids are wearing a mask, and she's not.
Okay,
That's sad.
I'm gonna play a little of this here quickly.
Today, Idaho Governor Brad Little gave a check worth more than $54 million.
Brad Little gave a check.
$700,000 to Idaho's public schools.
Now what are you seeing?
They're singing through their masks.
They have an entire, now they're in the state capitol building, so they're surrounded by these marble columns and marble floors. They're all dressed. This is like what a high school choir looks like.
I wish we could once in a while show visuals on this podcast, because if you guys could see this is what a cult looks like.
It's so sick.
Everyone is wearing black. All of their masks are black. They're all wearing masks except for the people in power, and they are all singing around a ceremonial check for $55 million.
And they're very earnestly singing
The
through their
check
masks.
was presented to Superintendent of Public Instruction.
The only thing missing was the Kool-Aid.
I have more respect for Jim Jones than for these psychos.
Yeah, at least they didn't do that shit with public money, with taxpayer money.
Yes, and he didn't force his Kool-Aid drinkers to cover their faces. At least they were.
Well, it's hard to drink Kool-Aid with wearing a mask.
That was my favorite. Whenever there was, because I never once in the entire ordeal ever put on a mask, like never one time. And that includes flying and all these things that you were supposed to not be able to do without it. My favorite is when you'd go into like a restaurant. This is like in Washington on the other side, and the hostess was like, you have to wear you have to wear a mask. And I'd be like, how am I supposed to eat through a mask? And then she would be like, oh, no, you can take it off once you're at the table. Mm-hmm. And then I would go, how does that make any sense? And then her brain would short circuit. Her left eyelid would flutter a little bit. And then she'd be like, ugh, fine. And then she'd deceive us. I had that interaction multiple times.
Yeah, I will play a little defense for those poor folks. There are a lot of private businesses that had to play ball under threat of having their licenses revoked. In fact, Washington and Idaho, most states did it this way. They were very, very clever. Here's what you do, especially for bars and restaurants. You just threatened their alcohol licenses.
Yeah.
And that's all they had to do. And that's what they did too. Is like, so it wasn't anything else. They just threatened the alcohol licenses. If you don't do what we say, we'll make trouble for you. We'll revoke your alcohol licenses.
Now, I was running an establishment at the time that had an alcohol license. So I know exactly what it was like to have your operating license and business license threatened. I just don't care. Go F yourself. Oh, Scott, they're going to take away your business. Hey, they already did. Hello. The doors were closed. Hello. They can just do whatever they want, whenever they want. And
yeah, but they weren't content to take away your business in the near term. They were on a mission to ruin you in the long term also if you didn't comply. So
they're on it. Well, the problem is that everyone ruined themselves anyway, because now everyone's cost of good is triple because they took all those baloney payments, the PPP and all the whatever.
You mean to say that printing more money in the last 4 years than we have in the last 50 years was going to have consequences?
You don't say.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And the Fed.
Well, so that's the thing is I know in our, I know from personal experience and anecdotal third party experience that things have never, quote, returned to normal. Places are, okay, well, you know what? We don't really need to go down that rabbit hole too much.
Anyways, this is a hell of a
Sherry
scene
Barra
at the
and the Capitol
Boise
High School
Capitol.
students of the Capitol Singers. This came after a performance of Christmas songs inside the Capitol Rotunda earlier today. Most of the money came from increased endowment land revenue and revenue investments managed by the Idaho Department of Lands.
Now,
so that's revenue from timber harvesting, and then that's also revenue from that is true also asset management, essentially wealth management. But it still ultimately comes out of the taxpayer's pocket because if all of that land was private, it would be in circulation in the private sector and making a lot of people, creating a lot more jobs, making a lot of people a lot wealthier. Instead, what they do is they just suck it all out
siphon
and use it for their pet projects. Because education sells. This is a perfect photo op every time. Look at what I have done, says the governor. Look at what we have done.
Yep.
Incidentally, they always complain about not having enough money. So it's really interesting that they have a ceremony about $68 million, which is still just a drop in the bucket for what they spend in this state on education. And it's never enough. It's not enough. So they're happy to get it, but then they look at you with their hand out and go, more, please.
We need more. One last comment on this. It's the frozen still on YouTube from what we were just playing. Again, the 2021 version of this event, where in the red business suit, the state superintendent is unmasked, and she's surrounded by black mask clad high school kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a cult. This is the cult of
it's
statism right here. It's. I just wish we could show this.
So-
I wish our not readers, our listeners could see this.
Well, and I mean, I think people can, I think, picture it in their mind's eye because a lot of this imagery was everywhere during this time. Like this is probably, I'm hoping that this is seared into people's minds because I love the revisionist history take of like, oh, well, state officials were, the air was dangerous. They were scared. Nobody knew what to do. There was this horrible scourge. Why isn't she masked if she's so scared?
For the same reasons that Gavin Newsom partied with all of his friends and relatives while telling everybody else to stay inside.
Why in the world do people remember this as, well, the state officials were scared?
Yeah,
even though they had stark evidence on display that was bull crap?
You know
Why
what else
isn't
they
this
remember,
woman
Scott?
masked?
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. We'll return to our program shortly.
I don't know what you were. We were a bar, so of course we were the first ones to close and the last ones to open up as the Bulldog Pipe and Cigar Lounge. We got opened up at the end of June. Well, legally, we ran in other ways for a few months, but we had to by necessity. I have a powerful urge to eat sometime this month, so we didn't have a choice.
It's so exhausting.
But anyways, I think
were
this was a
scared.
great way to start our Christmas episode.
Oh
with
yeah, Merry Christmas.
government ceremony, spending money on this ceremony, stopping what they were doing, spending public money to ceremoniously show off how they are stealing and spending our money and giving it from one hand to the other while congratulating themselves. That's government. This is government in a nutshell, if ever there was it. Yeah.
Let's
While high school youth sing
through face masks.
about it. Yeah.
It's unbelievable. How is this reality?
I don't know, but we're the crazy ones apparently, Scott.
Yeah, we're just nuts.
Nuts.
And where
Chestnuts
all you-
roasting on an open fire.
Where were you people before 2020? All this stuff?
Conspiracies simmering slow.
Let's do a little bit of the aftermath of the windstorm because that was it affected you directly. We talked about that on the last show, and trees fell, roads were ruined. The wind is past now; it's calmed back down. But let's do a little wrap up.
And now Scott in the studio with the weather.
Well, thousands are still without power in rural North Idaho, specifically following these severe windstorms across the inland Northwest. Avista now telling some customers that relief might not come until the weekend.
Residents here in Kellogg and in the surrounding area had to go a night without power. And while some woke up with electricity this morning, there are still some residents across North Idaho that are going to have to deal with life without electricity for the next few days. After almost 24 hours of no power, North Idaho
like the gnat pop of the chainsaw.
North Idaho residents are now in recovery mode following the severe windstorm across the inland Northwest. Some businesses are open, like Radio Brewing in Kellogg,
I have a blonde, I've got a Mexican lager.
which Megan Erickson says is a sigh of relief.
I've got a blonde,
complete
I've got a
180
Mexican,
from how
we
she
are
felt
open.
when the power went out initially.
We're far away from a lot of resources, so that makes it harder to get gas and get power and get groceries and stuff like that.
But some businesses remain closed until power comes back on. Wesley Hedrick, a miner, says he basically has the rest of the week off.
It was a pretty crazy drive home. There was about 6 or 7 trees that I saw that went down over the freeway from Mullen back here.
Miners like Hedrick in the Silver Valley joined the almost 2,000 people waiting to get their power back on. Paul Good, the electric director of operations with Avista, says 350 crews are working 24/7 to bring the power back on across the region. He says besides the changing weather, just getting to these power outages is the biggest obstacle.
A lot of the challenges is just getting into these rural areas and accessing and being able to start the restoration effort.
That
Good
tracks.
says depending on the damage and conditions, it could take crews up to 8 hours to replace these power poles.
Which actually
Avista
isn't
released a
bad.
statement saying North Idaho residents should expect power to be fully restored by Saturday or Sunday.
So everyone has their power back basically.
I think by now, although, funny story, moving it into Coeur d'Alene, my brother, who lives in the heart of Coeur d'Alene, just south of Costco, does not have power still.
What?
Yeah, there's like 5.
Really?
Yeah, he's in a little mobile home park just south of Costco and just north of like Lloyd's Automotive. It's tucked in there. You wouldn't know it was there if you didn't know it was there. easy to drive by and miss it. But there's like 5 or 6 units in there who don't have power. Everything else around them has power. And like these half a dozen units just drew the super short straw and haven't had power for like a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, don't know why exactly, but yeah, poor guy.
Has he been staying with family or something like
yeah,
that?
he's been staying with the old man, which is good. But yeah, we had power go out, although we didn't notice because it only lasted maybe half a day. Went out a couple times, but we have a generator in our place hooked up to the propane. It comes on automatically. So we were just like, we're set up where I'm at. We're set up for this sort of thing. Well, I can get water out of my well without power because I got a hand pump. I've got a good old Generac generator hooked up to my propane tank. I mean, we're not off grid, but we're in okay shape.
Hybrid. Yeah.
Hybrid.
Well, where you're at officially declared emergency.
Well, new overnight, the city of Clark Fork approving an emergency declaration to address severe flooding damage that wiped out parts of their main water line. According to our news partners, the Bonner County Daily Bee, the declaration will help rebuild about 1,000 feet of water line along East Spring Creek Road. Heavy rain and rapid snowmelt swamped parts of that city last week. Now council estimating the repairs will cost at least $250,000. The city is working tonight to get state funding for the work.
So then are you on boil water until further notice?
Yes,
still?
we are. We actually have been for a week and a half. We've been boiling our water. E. coli is the big one, but there's another thing somebody said was in the water. They forgot, but they put a post on Facebook and they were like E. coli and blank, but something that's also not good. So boil all your water. So that's what we've been doing. The city of Clark Fork, this is almost like another day for them. They've had mainline breaks the last couple of years. I swear every other month. It's been wild. So they've had to boil their water a bunch. Their pump house is actually up Spring Creek Road, which you would take to get to my house. And the water lines that feed the city of Clark Fork come from that pump house and run up along the road. You can't see a lot of it, but there's a couple spots where you can. In fact, then it cuts across the creek and you can see it. It's what looks like there used to be an old bridge there. Yeah. You can't miss it. If you're looking for it, you cannot miss it.
Yep.
So they're having issues with all that right now. They're going to have to replace it. If only the city of Clark Fork hadn't let somebody embezzle like $300,000 this last year. That's a headline we haven't touched because we weren't a podcast when it happened. But somebody just snookered the shit out of the city of Clark Fork this last year with all the construction and things that have been going on over there and a lot of the road projects and the water main projects. Somebody actually submitted a series of bills to them and the city paid them out. And then the person or persons who pretended to be the company who did those services just booked it and stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from the city of Clark Fork.
Oh man.
Yeah, not good stuff.
Do they know who it was?
They are pursuing it. I don't have a whole lot of details because they have been pretty sparse on details.
Yikes.
Yeah. And the mayor still got reelected. Good times in Clark Fork.
Here's one more from the aftermath of the windstorms.
In Moscow, the high winds destroyed some Idaho history. The University of Idaho lost several iconic trees on campus. The school says 15 trees came down, and they will have to take down a few others. 2 of the trees that came down were planted by former U.S. presidents. One of the trees that was damaged was the first one planted in that presidential grove. President Teddy Roosevelt planted it back in 1911.
How do you like that?
University President Scott Green says it is a huge historic loss for the community and the state. And some of those trees have been there for over a century.
There's a picture of Teddy Roosevelt. They played it on the clip that this came from. And it's, the tree is, up to his chest, so like a sapling or whatever. And that tree was 100 years old and gigantic, and yeah, I had no idea it went back that far.
Just name the tree Trust. And good old Teddy Roosevelt busted that trust. Ayo.
Trust buster.
Trust buster.
Let's move on from the winds, because like I said, they're over. Glad to hear you got through it.
Change. Yeah, actually, we were pretty spoiled. We got through all the flooding and the windstorms without too much pain. So I'm very grateful for that. Very grateful for that.
Do you know the CIA wrote Winds of Change and gave it to the Scorpions? Are you aware of that?
No.
Yeah, to facilitate the whole Berlin Wall thing. It's a CIA production. That's why that song doesn't sound like the Scorpions.
The more you know.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I need to have it more accessible.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I got to figure
at the top.
I need a third monitor for just the sound.
I finally have my soundboard up and running, but it doesn't matter today because my laptop can't plug into our system since we're together. Now that we're set up for being apart most of the time,
right?
I actually have sounds at the ready, and I can't use them today.
We really threw a wrench in the gears here.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick feel good one here.
Ooh, feel good.
And it's very short, and it's good news for one of the firefighters from the whole Canfield debacle back over the early summer.
Now to an update on firefighter Dave Tisdall. He was shot during the Canfield Mountain ambush over the summer. Now he's back in Coeur d'Alene. Coeur d'Alene Fire Department shared this picture of when he arrived home and all of the cards that he received from the community wishing him well. He's been in Colorado Rehab Hospital for months for his spinal cord injury. He's been focused on his follow-up care there. Family says they're grateful that he's back home this morning.
So that's a good one.
That is a good one. I'm happy for him and his family, and just in time for Christmas. That's a blessing.
Let's go to the HJR4 story. Are you following this at all? The medical marijuana push?
Here?
Yeah.
A little bit. I'm so curious. I'm so curious about this. There's a lot of different. All right. Let's
now,
hear it.
just quickly, HJR4. You know what the J in HJR4 stands for?
No.
Joint.
Does it?
President Trump has just made the biggest change in marijuana policy in 55 years. Still, marijuana is illegal in the state of Idaho, and it's headed for a major collision at the ballot box.
Yep.
A citizen-led initiative intends to legalize medical marijuana. But the legislature, they have also introduced a constitutional amendment that, if passed, would nullify your voice and your vote.
Yeah, we talked about
this. It's the legislature.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting the audio clip, but we've actually brought this up before on a different podcast. Last legislative session is when that constitutional amendment came up.
Right.
And I thought they had passed it already.
It's if approved. So I don't think it's been voted on yet.
Wild. Okay, maybe. So it was brought up last legislative session, though.
When will HJR4 be voted on?
House Joint Resolution.
Joint. Scheduled to be voted November 2026. So in a year.
Now, is that the public ballot initiative or is that the constitutional amendment you're looking at?
It's the ballot initiative.
Okay. So I guarantee you the legislature for 2026, the 2026 legislature, which starts in the legislative session starts in January, they are going to be on overdrive trying to pass a constitutional amendment that I thought already had passed that will bar this public ballot initiative from being able to occur. I guarantee you that an attempt will be made, and it very well may be successful, which is just wild to me because it's like the very people who talk about democracy and the voice of the people are going to be the ones who are going to put the boot back on the neck. And conservative, and even better, is going to be all the conservatives who talk the biggest game about limited government. But, drugs are bad.
Right.
Okay.
Legislature versus the people of Idaho in the battle over legalizing medical marijuana.
We are doing some polling right now, and there is strong indications that there is very strong support in the conservative space for this across the state.
Yeah.
That's Amanda Watson, spokesperson for the Natural Medicine Alliance of Idaho. Her group is collecting signatures for an initiative that would legalize medical marijuana only.
Did you catch her vocal fry, by the way?
I did catch her vocal fry.
Space for this across the state.
Space for this across the state.
You know what? I will forgive her fry all day long. She's on the right side of history on this one, that's for sure.
The right side of history.
Marijuana only. In recent years, multiple attempts to legalize marijuana by a group called Kind Idaho failed. So they're ending their efforts and joining forces with the alliance, which has more resources. The Republican-dominated legislature has always opposed any legalization of marijuana, but GOP Chair Dorothy Moon seems less opposed when it comes to medical marijuana.
I like her.
It's kind of between the family and the medical provider. If people, see that they need something to address a certain illness, then they have the right to try.
What a novel concept, Scott.
No kidding.
What a novel concept.
Jeez.
Like, I am ill. Can I try this thing? No.
No, you cannot.
Why? Because drugs.
Drugs are bad.
Because these drugs over here are allowed, and these drugs over here are not. Yeah, but why?
We can't make any connection. We'll be right back after these messages from Pfizer.
Marijuana only.
Side effects include confusion, inconsistency of thought, hypocrisy
and preference over principle
and full pockets. If you're on
If
the
that
right side.
amendment is passed by voters, the will of the legislature would supersede any citizen initiative when it comes to legalizing medical marijuana.
Ooh, get
and
fucked.
even if the HJR 4 fails and the voters vote to legalize medical marijuana, the legislature still has the power to overturn the will of the people.
It'll be interesting. If the vote is high, Rowan, that really determines a
is
lot
high.
of it. If the vote, it'll be interesting. If the vote is high, Rowan,
If the vote is
that'll be
high,
interesting. If the vote is high,
it will be, rest assured.
it'll be interesting. If the vote is high, Rowan, that really determines a lot of it. If the vote comes in at a 70% on any of these initiatives, I think the legislature would be very apprehensive to try to override it.
Of course.
No,
An
they should.
update on that polling that Amanda Watson mentioned in the story. She says a new survey shows 83% of registered voters in Idaho agree with legalizing medical marijuana.
Hell yeah.
And
I'm actually shocked by that.
74% of registered Republicans.
It's an overwhelming majority.
That is an overwhelming majority. Holy smokes. And I am surprised it's even that high. I am. I knew it would be high. I knew it would be high. I don't have my bell today. Darn it. Scott's the only one with the bell. So, Scott, you're going to get no bells today. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll give myself some bells.
You should. You deserve all the bells.
You want to get high?
I am shocked, though, that it is that heavy of support. I knew it would be, now every time I'm going to say the word, I knew it would be high support. But that surprises me is because two reasons. Number one, you've got a very Mormon-heavy South Idaho, and most of them are registered as Republicans, not all, but most. And then here in North Idaho, it's heavily registered Republican outside of course, Coeur d'Alene and Sandpoint. And even a lot of them register as Republicans, even though they're nothing of the sort, but that's, so they can infiltrate and do what they've been, like the North Idaho Republicans. None of them actually are Republicans, but I digress. It's such a heavy cop presence up here. A lot of retired cops, a lot of people who are cops, and a lot of people who are just super duper duper pro cops. And if there's one thing that I know about Idaho cops, it's they are not pro freedom when it comes to the things they don't like certain kinds of drugs. They're totally cool with alcoholism and Pfizer drugs and all those and pharmaceutical drugs and legal heroin, but they're not okay with the stuff that they can't tax and control. So to have it be 87%, now I'm curious to know what their polling sample size actually was, and if it was across the state or if it was in places like Moscow, Idaho, where U of I is, or Coeur d'Alene, where NIC is.
That's a great question because this is obviously you just extrapolate out from the couple dozen, couple hundred,
or Boise,
or whatever.
which Boise has, of course, a lot of fake Republicans and Republican light. In fact, that makes up most of the city, and they're going to be very pro legalization as well. So it's curious, but that's good news. It's good news. I know we talk about drugs a lot on this podcast, so I'm sure people are going to get the wrong idea. But it's about the freedom. I'm pro freedom.
Exactly. It really isn't a matter of whether we do or don't or partake. It's a liberty issue.
Oh.
I mean, even the notion that, Ms. Moon, well, if it's between a practitioner and or provider, I love that word, provider and the patient, and they want to try this, then, it's who's to say they can't?
That's your own business. Now let's take that a step further and be like, hey, do you own yourself? Yes, duh, you own yourself. You have bodily autonomy. Then you should be allowed to do what you want with your own body, barring harm to anyone else or their stuff. Duh.
Exactly. So why does it stop there? So who are we to get in between the doctor and the patient? But we are. We're going to get in the way between you and yourself.
But
by the way, land of the free.
It's a place to start, and they know it. That's why it's got to go this way. This is how it starts. And that's how it's just got to go. So credit to everybody for trying, and credit to Moon for speaking up about it. She's actually one of my favorites. No, she's not perfect. Nobody is. But she definitely has a libertarian bent, and she tends to be more consistent with it than most people in her position.
To your point about it being the stepping stone, if you go back and you listen to, the Jerry Falwell crowd, the moral majority people from the 80s and the 90s when the original push for medical marijuana was underway, those guys were all like, hey, you're all full of crap. You just want to legalize weed. This is all just a smoke and mirror show so that you can get the ball rolling so that you can legalize marijuana. And then of course all of the activist sect Again, it's not about whether or not like we agree with them. It's just the concept of them being like, yeah, no, this is just a stepping stone. And then the activist set going like, how dare you? No, this is just about cancer patients and about glaucoma sufferers. And we are just here for like medical, we want to take care of the sick. This has nothing to do with legalizing weed. Now, of course, that's what it was.
Well, yeah.
You're full of crap.
Yeah.
Like this, that's cool. And I guess they can't come out and say that. They have to do this. We have to do this dog and pony incremental show, because if you just come out and go like, well, we want to legalize weed, then it just gets stopped at the door.
Yeah, well, behold the stupidity of the system. I mean, it's a circus. Everybody knows it's a circus. Everybody involved knows it's a circus. Everybody watching knows it's a circus, and yet it's like it has to be done.
And yet
this
it continues
way.
to circus.
Circus is going to do circus things.
All right, let's do on theme for the sort of a public service announcement, but that's like sort of vaguely threatening.
Schweitzer Mountain says they're opening up their Great Escape quad lift tomorrow with access to specific trails only. In order to keep people safe from hazardous conditions, the mountain says anyone who disregards a roped-off trail will lose their ski pass. Don't do it. There will also be scenic lifts available for some who just want to enjoy the mountaintop view.
Uh-oh, you hear what's sneaking into the talking head milieu?
Mountain.
The mountaintop view.
Mountain. He said it in the beginning too.
Schweitzer Mountain said.
Mountain. I hate the tea.
They do not like the tea. They almost prefer coffee. Oh, boo. Bad jokes.
All right, where are we
That's
at
interesting,
here?
though. I wonder if that's a new policy, threatening skiers and snowboarders with revoking their passes if they go off roped trails. Interesting.
I don't think that is new. Maybe it's because it's extra treacherous right now on due to the lack of base. So I'm not really sure, but I don't think it's new. I could be wrong. There's just been a bunch of those lately where we play something. It's like, oh, hey, the mountain passes are closed for the season. And if you go, you're going to be paying every penny of your rescue effort, just so you know.
It turns out that mountains are dangerous.
Who knew? Where are we at? We're at about halfway point. So let's take a quick breather to discuss our value for value model, which is what we function on here on No ID. It's a value for value show, a value for value proposition. That means that this show does not and will never have sponsors or other outside influences that, make you say certain things or not say certain things based on what how they want to showcase their product. There's none of that. There's just direct support that we ask you for if you find what you're hearing valuable. We try to bring the value with this show, and then we ask for you to bring the value with your time and your talent and your treasure or any combination of those things. Go to noidshow.com. That's where all of the clickable buttons are for the treasure portion, which is PayPal and Venmo and all that stuff. And then there's the time and talent portion, which is very important, and we look forward to receiving via the contact widget there on the website. Boots on the ground reports, spreading the word, telling people about the show if you like it, sending us audio, sending us articles.
Yeah, we want to see you guys like Little Caesars, fresh, hot, and ready tips for us. Always helpful. We do appreciate everybody's ears and your support. Thanks for listening in.
noidshow.com is where you go.
Yes. Oh, by the way, if you have signed up and you're not getting the emails, please check your spam.
That too. That is getting better, by the way.
Is it?
The stats on those are better, so people are definitely seeing the emails, which is a good thing.
That's helpful.
So we do send out a newsletter
and tell your
once
friends.
a week.
And tell your enemies.
I wouldn't wish this show up on my worst enemy. Yeah, that's...
I would. That's value for value.
NoIDShow.com, NoIDShow.com.
Second half of show. So, speaking of drugs and drug makers, let's cover the Medicare expansion, because we've brought this up several times on the show.
Idaho's DOGE.
What did I say?
Medicare?
Yes, I'm sorry, Medicaid.
Idaho's DOGE task force says the state's voter-approved Medicaid expansion program needs to be eliminated.
Task Force co-chair Senator Todd Lakey read a letter to the group Friday from a small business owner who offers his workers health coverage. The letter says his employees are routinely asking to work fewer hours to stay eligible for Medicaid instead of paying a, quote, meager $60 every 2 weeks for the company plan. Single people must earn less than roughly $21,000 a year to qualify for Medicaid expansion.
Now, wait, so for one, this is from Idaho NPR. For two, it doesn't actually tell you anything about what the health plan that they just alluded to, well, it's a meager $60 every 2 seconds or whatever the hell they said. Yeah, but what does it offer? Is there like a $4,000 deductible? Is it like maybe they're not paying for it because like a lot of these plans, they're not actually usable.
Well, they were just talking about the premium, and $120 a month in these days is actually not a huge premium, depending on your plan, of course.
That's what I'm trying to say. What's the plan?
I just re-upped for mine from Blue Cross of Idaho through the state exchange, which is the Obamacare bullshit, but that's what's there.
Yes.
And I'm at $181 a month. That's just for myself.
Okay. So then if you add in the family,
it gets significantly more expensive.
And what can you what is there a deductible? What is it? What does that entail?
It is a nicer plan, smaller deductibles, smaller copays. I opt for that instead. Higher premium, smaller stuff. But $120 a month is not bad, depending on what your plan is.
But that's the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
Is it only tells us one side of the equation. It's $120 a month for what?
Well, of course, the mainstream message, since that's what we're here to do, right? Break down the mainstream message, is going to automatically, overwhelmingly going to be Medicare expansion good, Medicaid expansion good, cutting Medicaid expansion bad. But before that vote, which was 4 or 5 years ago now, to expand Medicaid, there were a number of us, we were in the minority, and I'm saying we, because I was a part of this too, who blasted it all over the place, who said, don't expand Medicaid for no other reason. I mean, there's moral reasons, there's ethical reasons, there's philosophical reasons, there's ideological reasons, and then there's economic reasons.
The math reason.
The math. And so you can approach it 5, 6 different ways. But economics, man, the math doesn't math. And all you have to do is look at every other state that has expanded Medicaid, and every other state that expanded Medicaid found themselves in a budget shortfall within 5 years.
It's a budget buster.
Like, it's not hard to figure this one out. And we all said it. And that's why it was a public ballot initiative, though, because the legislature wouldn't do it. So they jammed it through with a public ballot initiative. And here we are. So now you've got a system that encourages people to make less because it's a cliff system. That's how welfare works in general. It's a cliff. The drop off is huge. The higher up you go, the more independent you wish to be. It's a huge drop off in the benefits that you then don't get. So it traps people in this narrow band where it's like, I can only make in between this and this. And if I go above it, then I get basically nothing. If I go too far below it, then I'm too poor to make this worth it. But if I sit in this really narrow, and that's on purpose.
Single people must earn less than roughly $21,000 a year to qualify for Medicaid expansion. Here's Lakey.
That certainly creates some frustration on my part that we have employers with health insurance benefits that are provided, and we have people not taking it so they can remain on Medicaid.
Republican Representative Dustin Manwaring agrees something needs to be done.
Because I don't know if it's an all or nothing. There may be some other things we can do to contain costs without full repeal.
About 81,000 Idahoans are enrolled in Medicaid expansion as of mid-December. State lawmakers and Governor Brad Little would both need to sign off on a repeal plan to take effect.
It's going to be a tough one because the mainstream media and all of the people who benefit from this expansion, those who benefit from bigger government because they have government jobs, or who work for health and welfare, which is also government jobs, or work for all of the companies that leech off of the welfare system, are going to oppose this. And it's an easy soundbite to be like, oh, if you want to get rid of Medicaid expansion, you're a heartless son of a bitch.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
That's exactly what it's the same tactic every time.
Every time.
You don't care about people's health. Is that
you
it?
hate poor people and you want them to die. Yeah. It's unsustainable. It is quite literally unsustainable. And Idaho is seeing it in real time right now. The Idaho budget is a real issue. It cannot be reconciled at the moment, so they have to look for things to cut.
If it happens without fail everywhere it is tried, and it is still implemented, and that leads to catastrophe, how am I supposed to draw any conclusion other than the catastrophe it's deliberate? They want catastrophe.
Yeah. It's funny you say it happens without fail everywhere it's tried. Really, we should reverse it and say it happens without success everywhere it's tried. Everywhere this shit is tried,
Touché.
It fails.
Touche. Here is an Ask Paul. We'll stick on, quote, health for the moment, and we'll see if Paul can guess this week's.
The latest data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention indicate that hospitalization rates nationwide have jumped by 14% as a so-called super flu variant has hit some states.
Now, quickly, there's a couple things. For one, the CDC, you mean that same organization that, encouraged all the masked up choirs while the state officials weren't masked? That same CDC? Yeah. It's amazing that they continue to report on it as if it has any credibility left, but okay.
This is the same CDC that says vaping was an epidemic, and also that racism was an epidemic.
Right.
Like, what?
That CDC.
It's like, stay in your lane, CDC.
That hospitalization rates nationwide have jumped by 14%.
That's another thing. When they do the percentage, that always means that it's like it went from 3 to 5.
Yes.
So, and there's a 9,000% increase. Yeah, there's 5 people in the whole state. Whenever you hear percentage, just remember they're trying to obfuscate the fact that the raw numbers are incredibly low. And that's, by the way, according to them, and all their numbers are freaking baloney to begin with.
3 to 5 is a 60% increase. A 66% increase, actually. That's pretty scary.
No, it's free. Better put on that mask. Actually, 2 masks, by the way. Does nobody remember that they said 2 masks? 2 masks, man.
2 masks.
They said 2 masks.
As a so-called super flu variant has hit some states, including Idaho. Indeed, checking the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare's latest data, it reads that flu activity is very high, especially in the Treasure Valley, Magic Valley, and in all health districts across eastern Idaho. The predominant flu subtype in Idaho is AH3. And yes.
What are they? So here's the Ask Paul. He says the variant is this one. And yes, what's coming next? Can Paul guess?
I'm already just thinking, okay, I'm going to rabbit trail real fast. But in 2020 and in 2021 and even into 2022, the word flu was almost never used. It was some variant of
amazing.
COVID.
It was a miracle. It disappeared.
Yeah.
Overnight.
And now we're back to using the word flu.
Flu's back.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I just have to note. What does he say? It's gotta be something COVID related. Give me one. Give me that.
Dominant flu subtype in Idaho is AH3. And yes,
there is a vaccine for it. Am I right?
It is included in the most recent strain in the current flu vaccine.
Oh my gosh.
Nailed it.
That's fantastic. Oh, man. This is me patting myself on the back.
Well deserved.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, just so you guys know.
But are they giving Krispy Kreme donuts to take this one?
Cheeseburgers and French fries.
Do I get a free Happy Meal with my vaccine?
Well, because, the health and everything. So you get 12 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts that you can jam down your gullet.
But I got to take my mask off to eat it first.
Oh, my goodness. They're so freaking transparent.
Thank God there's a vaccine for it, though.
God, what would we do without it? Man, I'm telling you. I don't even know how we've made it this far. Here, now, this is sort of along those lines, things that sound like news reports, but are in point of fact ads. They're like, that wasn't quite overt because they didn't say it really was. Like, that was an ad for flu shots, which it was flu shot, not flu vaccine. Now it's flu vaccine, because the V word is a magical word, apparently.
It was a very subtle ad for Pfizer or whoever made the vaccine.
So here is one that is a little more overt, but it's still in the same category, which is this is a blatant native ad for the Coeur d'Alene Casino. It's advertising that was purchased by the Coeur d'Alene Casino, and the package is it has to sound like a news report. It can't just be like cut to commercial and come to the CDA Casino.
I think I know what this is.
This is a news report that is actually a paid advertisement.
Wait. I know it's not a Paul's Guess segment, but I want to guess this one too.
Go right ahead.
I recently saw an article pop up into my feed where the Coeur d'Alene tribe was touting that more jackpots had been hit this year than ever. Is this it? Yes. And the fucking press picked it up like it was a news article and ran it
No, they didn't. This was paid. I mean, that's what it seems like. But no, these are paid advertisements.
I'm pretty sure I saw this in the press.
I'm sure you did because they
swear to God,
they paid
I saw this.
Lots of outlets for this stuff, man. You blink it,
and it
blink
looked
at the market.
like a news article.
That's how they work. That's what native ads are.
Clever.
Have a listen.
While the Coeur d'Alene Casino Resort reports they are hitting new milestones as 2025 comes to a close, casino visitors have enjoyed up to $80 million in jackpot winnings this year, which is a new high for the casino.
Well, casino officials tell me on average each month in 2025, they have paid out $7.2 million in winnings. The Coeur d'Alene Casino is celebrating more than the holidays this year.
After taxes, I'm walking around with $10,000 cash.
Staff say the casino hit record highs in 20.
This guy, by the way, he was like an old guy with crooked teeth. He's sitting at a slot machine.
You don't even need a visual to know who this guy is.
He's got a mic in his face.
10,000 cash. Staff say the casino hit record highs in 2025, processing over 35,000 in jackpots, totaling $80 million.
Now, did you hear the cut there? Because the talking head screwed it up. So they had to be like, no, that's not what we needed you to say. We needed you to say this.
35,000 in jackpots, totaling $80 million.
Whoops.
It's totally $80 million.
They're
here to enjoy themselves, and even winning is just a cherry on top.
I am told in the last 3 years, their winnings continue to rise thanks to a few things. They say guests are always welcome with new gaming machines that are swapped and changed. More guests are walking in their front door and they're staying longer. And with faster jackpot payouts, a whole minute less compared to 2024, guests spend less time waiting for cash and more time enjoying the excitement on the gaming floor.
The gaming is fun. They're always changing machines. And whether you win or lose, we have a good time when we come here.
I'm reporting in Worley, Regan Gallo, KREM 2 News.
Right. So, and then you got to do the lockout. And
this is why Western civilization is dying. Like, this is, oh my God. This is on the bingo card. Like, on one side of it, you have masked, black-clad children singing in the state capitol building while government steals money and then transfers it from one pocket to another.
Unmasked government officials
Unmasked
are stealing.
government officials.
Yeah.
And then on the other corner of the bingo is the state, the state mouthpiece known as the press, running what essentially amounts to ads for the tribal casino. Meanwhile, fucking poker is illegal. I can't play a goddamn game of poker with my friends for $20 at my own house.
It's illegal and immoral. It's degenerate.
Like,
How is this? How can this be reality?
How do we live in this?
This simulation sucks so badly.
How is this the reality we live in? Well, that's how. Cash. You got to be kidding me.
It was worth it for that guy alone.
Dude, so actually, we have a great segue that I want to use this for, because the relationship between the tribe and the city of Coeur d'Alene and all of the powers, the people who pull the levers of power around here, it is thick. The tribe and the Coeur d'Alene power brokers, it is thick. You also will see that in an article that I showed you with the CityLink partnership, the public bus system that runs through Kootenai County and has a terminal here now in Kootenai County that we fought. We fought it for years. And of course, we're called Heartless Bastards for that too. Well, do you know who the biggest funder of the CityLink bus system is? The tribe, Coeur d'Alene tribe. Over $700,000 a year. Now, of course, $250,000 of that is reimbursable. The county, Kootenai County, is actually on the hook for over $250,000 of that to pay back to the tribe. So the tribe fronts the cash, then gets it back. I'm sure it's all tax-free too and all that bull. It's a write-off. It's a fucking write-off for the tribe. It's under charity or donation or whatever the hell. And then they get it back, a big chunk of it, from the county. That's us, the taxpayers, to funnel riders to their casino, because that's the end point. That's as far as the CityLink bus system goes, is the Coeur d'Alene casino down in Worley. Ta-da!
Perfect. Now imagine if you...
But it's for poor people who need to get to their jobs.
You should have set up something like this to the Racketeer. Hey, the bus service goes, picks you up in your neighborhood, drops you off at the Racketeer.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
Funded by
and
the
for
county.
every dollar that I gave to this system, I got 40 cents back. Just back from the government. And then that doesn't count whatever I make from funneling the entire Tri-County area to my business. This shit goes on all the time. This is just a picture of how stuff works around here, and why I wanted to do this podcast. This is stuff I've been talking about for a long time. Welcome to North Idaho.
It's indicative. Welcome. Welcome to a sheriff gig in North Idaho to the new Shoshone County Sheriff, and you'll never guess what he's asking for.
Money?
Operational changes could be coming to the Shoshone County Jail as newly appointed Sheriff William Eddy looks to fix long-standing staffing issues.
This, by the way, is one of our favorites. I think he hasn't been back since I don't know, maybe the first or second episode, but he's the
Sheriff William,
the Columbia School of Broadcasting ethic.
Sheriff William Eddy looks to fix long-standing staffing issues. In a recent post to social media, Sheriff Eddy notes the facility does not have an appropriate inmate to staff ratio, something that we have reported on extensively. The county is set to swear in 2 new detention deputies, and they're set to start at the end of the month, while they're actively hiring 2 more to get back to full staff. Sheriff Eddy is requesting a temporary change in policy by asking the county prosecutor's office to release nonviolent inmates that are in custody on less severe charges. The sheriff says it will introduce the burden on the current staff while ensuring that jail space is being used wisely. Sheriff Eddy also said the jail will not be transferring county-held inmates to other facilities, but that state-held inmates could be moved to a more appropriate location.
I would like to propose an alternative to releasing nonviolent offenders. Why not just lock them in jail cells with violent offenders so they just get beaten to death? You reduce the prison population that way.
Like that one guy that we covered the other day who went in for a Dewey and got beaten to death. Yeah. Because he got stuck in with a murderer.
I mean, if you just do that with your whole, if your whole jail population, the population gets cut in half. Problem solved.
Yeah. Yeah. You're onto something there, Scott.
You're welcome.
But what a novel concept. Releasing people from incarceration who haven't hurt anybody. Wild.
It's hard to wrap your mind around.
You know what else would probably help Shoshone County Sheriff's Department is if their employees stopped getting pulled over for Deweys themselves.
And hitting objects and fleeing the scene.
Yeah. You might have more staff if your folks can try.
You're going to work on your retention, Shoshone.
Go back to driving school, maybe. And like day 1 is drinking and driving is bad. Okay, you shouldn't do it. Well, at least not in uniform. Okay. Hitting statues is bad. Okay. But I do like where their head's at as far as going, well, we got to do something. Hey, you who didn't hurt anybody, get out of here. If Kootenai County Jail did that, easily 30% of the jail population would be taken care of right now. People could go back to their lives and try to rebuild them.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Here are a couple more quick ones for the week. We have this kind of reminds me of what happened up on my property with Fish and Game, and then we'll close out with Paul Truett and the trial.
A moose family used to live near the University of Idaho Arboretum, but they have a more suitable home now. Idaho Fish and Game successfully relocated a cow, bull, and 2 calves from the Arboretum earlier this week. The moose had become increasingly comfortable with living on campus, which raised concerns about safety and potential conflicts with people. Fish and Game staff safely transported the moose family to a remote location a few miles out.
Excellent.
Hopefully they got their degrees before they would leave.
Well, I hope so. It's tough to get those degrees.
Yeah, so it's real tough to get those degrees. I'm Irving Farquhar.
Luckily for those moose, they'll die before they have to pay off their student loans.
That's what I was going to say. Yep. Thank you for stealing my joke.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You said it better than I was going to. Final one for the week. It was the probably the biggest story, I guess. That's kind of why I saved it to last for this Christmas show. I want to play quickly some of Bob Norris's testimony. It's kind of hard to hear, so stick with it. Mostly because it's funny. I don't know if you heard it.
Tensions were high on day 3 of the trial for the man accused of dragging a woman from a Kootenai County Republican town hall.
Sheriff Bob
Just
Norris,
that
the defendant.
That right there is the mainstream media bullshit right there. A man accused. So this is just like when you sit, like if I brought you in for an interview, I'd be like, so Scott, when was it that you stopped beating your wife?
Right.
You're like, oh, I think it was last month. Wait a minute. What the fuck?
Have you always
I've never beat my wife.
Have you always abused kids?
When did you decide to stop abusing children? This is ridiculous. Like a man accused of dragging a woman across shards of glass and a lava pit before handcuffing her with cactus-laced zip ties. What? This is ridiculous. So first off, she was the one biting and spitting people and disrupting the thing and kicking and screaming as she went out.
Hey, man, it's just freedom of speech.
It's just unbelievable to me. And like the headline I sent you from a couple days ago that was run by the press, where the literal headline was, jury to decide if man who dragged woman out of meeting is guilty.
That was the press, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, that's yellow journalism, man. Tell me what you believe without telling me what you believe. Just with the headline. I don't even have to read the article.
You know, the person typed out, like the editor was like, drags woman who was only expressing her free speech. And then he was like, delete. That's too obvious.
That's too obvious.
Sheriff Bob Norris and the defendant, Paul Truett, took the stand today.
Paul Truett faces multiple charges of battery and false imprisonment. And on the third day, his defense team called Kootenai Sheriff Bob Norris as a witness, which at times got heated.
You're not a lawyer, correct?
He just said that's the "you're not a lawyer," correct? Directed at Norris.
You're not a lawyer, correct?
No, I'm not a lawyer.
No, I'm not a lawyer.
I make an honest living. I'm not a lawyer.
I make an honest living. Yeah, all right.
Testimony, he explained
Points to Sheriff
he was
Norris.
at the town hall to give the Pledge of Allegiance, but also to address a security threat towards one of the legislators there. Because of that, Norris says he was on high alert. During the meeting, he said it became tense as several people began disrupting.
Had I not done nothing and it broke into a melee, they would be asking, Sheriff, you were there, why didn't you do it?
His actions led to the...
So if you didn't catch that, like if a fracas had broken out and I hadn't done that, then people would have been like, yo, you were there. Why didn't you do anything?
Yeah, that's also true. Also, I think it's worth noting that if marijuana was illegal in the state of Idaho, this probably never would have happened. Everybody would have been way more chill at this meeting.
Take a bong load, Teresa Borenpole.
Honestly.
Jeez.
Into a melee, they would be asking, Sheriff, you were there, why didn't you do it?
His actions led to the forced removal of a few individuals, including Teresa Borenpole.
His actions led to the forced removal. No, it couldn't have been the actions of the people who were disrupting the meeting. It's the same thing with NIC. People who were at NIC, threw fits and sabotaged all kinds of stuff because they didn't like who was in charge. You buy a house or you take over a house, you go in, you clean the house up, and then the meth heads who live there are like, what are you doing? We liked it the way we liked it. And then they take a torch to the house and go, if you don't stop cleaning this thing up, we're going to light this house on fire. And then you don't stop cleaning it up. And so they light the house on fire and they go, look what you did to us. Look what you did.
Yep. I had a buddy in the college era. He was like a big burly wrestler type guy. And he'd come over to you. He's just one of those guys who would just come over and give you a dead arm, like right in the shoulder, just boom. And then once in a while, someone would have the gumption to actually punch him back. And then if you hit him back, he would get this look in his eyes like, this fucker just hit me.
Don't you know how this works?
It was dragged out.
The temperature in the room, that it had reached a flash point. Had I not done something, that something would have likely have sparked off.
Later, Truett testified he and his team of security guards acted under Norris's command to ensure safety for everyone. Truett argued he's innocent and his actions were in line with the sheriff's overall security directive.
To remove anybody, I didn't take that action. I followed the action of the sheriff.
Late today, both sides gave closing arguments. A jury verdict is expected.
So I don't really understand that. So that's Tourette that's saying that. To remove anybody, I didn't take that action. That's, I was following the action of the sheriff.
To remove anybody, I didn't take that action. I followed the action of the sheriff.
Well, I don't he did though. He did remove somebody, and then so why isn't both true? Yes, I removed somebody, and yes, it was under the directive of the sheriff. How can you say I didn't take that action? Yeah, you did.
Well, I think the argument there is that they didn't initiate it. They weren't the first ones to do it. So yeah, did they execute the physical action of removing people? Yes, they did. But they did it under the direction of Norris, and Norris, I think, took the initiative on it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I just don't understand why he's saying he didn't.
To remove anybody, I didn't take that action.
To remove anybody, I didn't take that action. Well, you did though.
I think what he's trying to say is that he didn't do it first. I'm positing that would be my guess because that's how it's coming off, and that's how, if I was stumbling over my words and nervous in court, that might be how I would say it too. I didn't start. I didn't take that action.
For sure.
I did that underneath Sheriff Norris.
And for one, it's easy for me to do sitting here. You're right. And then also for two, maybe there was a part before that's cut off. So
and the Sheriff Norris aspect of this case is a big deal. It's one of the reasons why Truett and them didn't get nailed to the wall harder, because Norris is pretty popular in this area. And so thankfully for Truett and his folks, they could essentially, I don't want to say hide under the shadow of Norris, because that's not the right way I want to phrase it, but basically Norris provides top cover. Norris's presence and Norris's directives provide top cover for the actions of Truett and them, which were perfectly legitimate in the first place. Again, because disruptions and craziness. But in this context, it really did matter and it really did help. And it was a pillar of their argument.
Late today, both sides gave closing arguments. A jury verdict is expected tomorrow. Truett is facing time behind bars.
So here is,
which is wild.
The verdict, which was issued, I think, a couple days ago.
Yeah,
it is a
2 days
split
ago.
verdict for the owner of a private security company that dragged a woman out of a Coeur d'Alene town hall back in February.
Allegedly.
Alexandra Cohen-Yards joins us
yeah.
outside of the Kootenai County Courthouse, and the jury found Paul Truett guilty of 2 charges of battery.
Yeah, that's right, Kirsten. They did find him guilty for 2 charges of battery, but not for the battery charge of Teresa Boren-Paul, who is a person that many people have had their eyes on during this case. Let's take another look at the incident that really started all of this. You can see Boren-Paul being dragged out of the room by men dressed in black. There were other people who were also in the audience that day that were also dragged out.
Tell me what you think about this without telling me what you think about this. This poor woman dragged out of this public meeting by men in black.
For all we know, it might have been ICE.
We almost could have called it the night of the long tasers. The only thing...
Don't tase me, bro! Don't tase me!
Oh, things that should have happened.
And Gregory Johnson. Truett was found guilty for the battery charges in those 2 incidents. We spoke with the state prosecutor on this case, and he sees this split verdict as a win.
Well, I think throughout the trial, it was a question of Sheriff Norris himself and his authority and how that authority had impacted the actions of the defendant in this case.
Now, the defendant, Truett.
So I wonder if that was actually a state attorney, or if that was the city. Okay, because
I think it was.
It was the city of Coeur d'Alene that actually brought the case. It was not the state of Idaho.
It was
not the attorney general.
It might have been the city attorney.
Not the state of Idaho.
I think it was the city attorney. Actually.
Well, and the reason I'm asking this because they said on this audio clip the state attorney.
You're right. They did say that.
We spoke with the state prosecutor on this case.
Okay, I thought I remembered the caption saying it was the city attorney, but he might be the
we're
state
kind
guy.
of splitting hairs here because effectively, if you are a city attorney, you work for the state. I'm sure in some capacity as well. I mean, and the state in the general sense, you definitely work for
all the same
state,
blob.
Not the state of Idaho, but the state.
Team government.
Yeah, team government. But it is important to note that I do believe the state of Idaho did not pursue this case in any way, shape, and form. It was the city of Coeur d'Alene.
Now, the defendant, Truett, claims that he was dragging those people out to keep the town hall safe and because Sheriff Bob Norris told him to do so. Now, the state, on the other hand, argues that Truett was out of line since he was volunteering at the event with his team and they were not dressed in uniform. Truett was also found guilty of violating 2 city codes, which are for an agent uniform violation as well as a security agent duties violation. Now, the sentencing for this is expected to happen anywhere from a month to 2 months from now, and it could be that Truett faces anything from severe penalties to even jail time.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's how this works too. So he gets to spend the next 2 months wondering what the hell's going to happen to him when it comes to sentencing, which is the weirdest thing. You get convicted and then you wait sometimes months to know what's going to happen to you, where you're going to end up.
Like you were saying on the last show, part of this is just to make him sweat.
Yeah. Well, it also is how the process actually works. The legal system is that slow. It's wild to me that you could be convicted in December and sentenced in March.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
It is so wild. And it'll be interesting to see what they choose to do because sentencing is mostly decided by the judge. The judge gets to decide. So the impression you make on the judge is all the difference in the world. How good of a day the judge was or wasn't having that day makes a difference. The judge's politics makes a difference. How you present makes a difference. It all can make a difference. And with the stroke of a pen, the judge can give you 30 days in jail or 3 or none.
It's a position I never want to be in.
So what the jury did is what juries do anytime they're given the opportunity to do this, and they split the baby, basically. Which is why going to trial with a jury is always such a dicey maneuver when there's more than one charge. Which is also why the state always loads up multiple charges, because then what they can do is coach the jury to, okay, well, maybe that one's not so easy to convict, but there's 3 over here that you should consider. And ultimately the jury, led by the nose, will be like, oh, okay, well, those 2 are unreasonable, but we'll stick them for these 3. And then everybody's happy. Then everybody gets a little bit because that's human nature. Human nature is to find that middle point. So juries will do that. Be like, there's how many charges? 7 or 9? All right. You're convicted of 4 of them.
Right.
Everybody loses / wins.
You do hear that all the time. Yeah. And as compromises go, no one's happy.
No one's happy. But at least of all, the guy who gets convicted, because even if it's, 4 is better than 9, I guess, but 4 misdemeanors still carry penalties.
Right, especially when you feel like, hey, man, which I know even the guilty feel this way, but, it should be 0. Like, you're just like, you have to kind of check a box, so you're just going to, like, pick 4? Come on, man, it should be 0.
Yeah, and now it can be jail time, it can be fines, it can be community service, it can be sheriff's labor program, it can be any and all of those things. So that part is interesting too. Plus, there will probably be probation for the guy. It will probably impact his business. And here's the other thing too: is while it may seem like a slap on the wrist, or it may seem like a happy medium, Truett is going to feel this for years. So will his business. His life has changed. I would say one other thing too: guilty is not the same as immoral, unethical, or wrong. If you run a stop sign and there's nobody there and nobody's hurt, technically, you are a criminal and you are guilty of at least an infraction. Are you a bad person?
But, at least those chiefs of police who no longer have their special deputy status couldn't pull you over for running that stop sign.
Give yourself a bell, sir.
Got him. All right. That's this week on No ID. Merry Christmas once again from the Jew to you.
Merry Christmas, Internet.
What do you got planned for Christmas Day?
Christmas Day is with my pops at his house. Yep, my wife, my kids, my dad. Good old-fashioned family fun. Christmas Eve is with the extended family, and Christmas Day evening is with my wife's family. So we're pretty blessed. Most of the family's in the area, and we get to spend time with all of them.
You guys have a traditional dish of prime rib. Like, what do you guys usually make up?
Christmas Eve soups. So every family member brings soups for Christmas Eve. That would be the tradition there. And then Christmas morning is brunch, which of course is going to involve typically like eggs, bacon, taters, the usual fare.
Beautiful.
How about you?
Well, I'm only just now dabbling in the world of celebrating Christmas, because growing up Jewish, we didn't celebrate Christmas. So, there was the tropes, like, we'd go to the Chinese restaurant, stuff that we definitely did do that, or go to the movies. But I believe this year we're going over to our friend's house. He got a deer a couple weeks ago, so he's doing a roast. I think he's smoking some of it, so we're going to have a deer feast on Christmas Eve, so I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds amazing, like almost a traditional sounding Idaho situation with venison and all right, way to go. Congratulations. I'm excited for you. Are you going to bring your adorable little Jew candle?
The menorah.
The menorah. You're going to bring that too. You brought it up to my house a couple days ago. It was awesome.
First Hanukkah experience for the Banducci clan.
Yeah, it was.
Well, Hanukkah's over. The last night was 2 nights ago. So that's it for the menorah. Into the box she goes until next year. So no, it's just going to be pure Christmas.
So you guys get to like leap from Hanukkah to Christmas to New Year's Eve and day, and it's like 4 weeks of celebration for you guys.
Although unlike Christmas and New Year's, Hanukkah is not the same time every year. It is between. It can be as early as like late November where it starts, and it's 8 nights, and it can be as late as the last night is like January 2nd, and so it shifts throughout because it's a lunar calendar, So it's not always the same time, but generally yes, it's like you have Hanukkah, you have Christmas, and then my birthday is right after the first of the year as well. So it's a whirlwind. Once we get to my birthday, I've gotten
Everybody's
used to. No one cares. Yeah, everyone forgot. It's okay.
Scott.
Nah, it's no big deal.
I guess, is it better or worse
to
to share your birthday with Jesus when you're a Jew, or is it better to have it just a little bit afterwards when nobody cares?
I think it's probably better that I'm just off the radar on
So who decides when Hanukkah ends? Is it some secret council in Israel, or is it or New York City?
Yeah, it's the Rothschilds and all the media conglomerate control people. It's exactly who you think it is.
Oh, so I didn't look, but like this menorah sponsored by J.D. Rockefeller or something like that. Is that on the bottom of it?
I wouldn't tell you if it was.
The Council of Candles.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week on No ID. And from Post Falls, this is Scott.
And this is Paul. Taxation is theft. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Where were you all this stuff?
Conspiracies simmering slow.